Now, dear students of, okay, my dear students of secondary stage, I'm going to introduce the elements of the short story for you now. It's very important for the writing question. Of course, you know, writing is a very important skill, and you may be asked to write a short story. We have specified or particular elements of the short story. The first one is a setting. What is the setting? The setting includes both time and place. Time like day, month, year, time of the day, season, or anything related to time. You set up a time for your short story from the very beginning, in the beginning paragraph. And the place, the state, the country, the area, the building, the surroundings of this place. In the introductory paragraph, you also set a particular mood for your short story, like you speak about the weather, the feelings of the characters, the emotions of the characters. The second element is the character. You create a main character for your short story, and this character may be a human or an animal or an insect or a plant, even a plant or a ghost, for example. We have the main character and the secondary character. The main character is called the protagonist and the antagonist. The main character is the person in the story that the story revolves around him. And the secondary character or secondary characters are less important character or less important characters. What is the protagonist and what is antagonist? The protagonist is the main character or the character everything revolves around. He is the good guy. He has a good intention. And the antagonist is the character or the force that struggles against the protagonist or causes him or her to conflict or causes him a problem, a certain problem. It's the bad guy, the other force that makes the action rising, that forms the rising action. The plot. What is the plot? What is a plot? What is the definition of the plot? It is a sequence of events that happen in the story, and you write it chronologically or randomly according to your way of writing or your technique of writing, or the action that takes place in the plot, the beginning, the middle, the end. I have three parts: the beginning of the plot, the middle of the plot, and the end of the plot. Exposition, introductory information that provides a setting, introduces character, sets tone, you set your story tone, and other facts necessary to understanding the story. This is the exposition. The rising action. What is the rising action? These are the components of the plot: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution or solution, or the moral. The next element will be the moral. The rising action is the events or the group of events, a group of incidents that occur before the climax. What is the climax? It's the highest point of suspense or the highest point of action, the point of the story where all of the actions change towards the end of the story. It's called the turning point, aka the falling action. What is a falling action? It denotes or stands for the events that occur after the climax and leads to the conclusion of the story, leads to the solution for the climax, for the problem, for the turning point. And the resolution is the point at which the main conflict is resolved. The main conflict ends, finishes the conflict. What is the conflict? It's the struggle problem or opposition in the story. And we have 6 types of conflict: character versus character. We may find a character and another character, and they have problems, and there is suspense between those two characters. And character versus self. There may be a conflict or a problem between the character and himself, an internal conflict. We call it internal conflict. Sometimes people are their own worst enemies. And the characters versus nature, a natural force, for example, and the character versus all of people in the society, the values, the customs, the traditions of the family, for example, by which everyone else lives, are being challenged, and versus character versus technology, and the characters versus unknown or supernatural or ghosts. Okay, what is the motive? The reason for a character's action or the character conflict is usually caused by a certain motive or a certain action. What is the point of view? What is a point of view? The way the story is told. And we have many ways to tell the story, but most common ways is the first person. You can tell it in the first person. The narrator is a character in the story and he speaks about himself. He says I. He uses first person pronoun, and he is telling it from his point of view or her point of view. Of course, uses the pronoun I and we, me, or us. This is the first person, omniscient. And the third person is the narrator. The narrator is not a character in the story. He is another one. He or she tells only what he sees or what he hears or what is happening. Like a movie camera, for example, some are able to see into the minds of the characters and reveal the thoughts of a character, aka outside observer or narrator. Use the pronoun he. We use the pronoun he or she or they or them if we are using the third person pronoun. What is the tone? The tone is very important, and the tone is determined or specified from the very beginning of the novel. From the very beginning of the novel, the reader may understand what is the tone of this short story. The author, the attitude towards a subject. It revealed through the choice of words and the details. It depends on the author himself or the writer himself. He chooses certain words to denote, to show the tone of the story. What is the mood? The mood is the feeling that the author creates in the reader. He may create a mood of anger, a mood of jealousy, a mood of pleasure. Okay, and it revealed through descriptions of characters, senses, or actions in the story. What is the theme? The reader and the author. What is the meaning of the word theme? It's the message or the moral lesson that the writer is trying to relate to his or her reader. I want to convey a message, a certain a behavioral message or moral message to the reader from this whole story, and a general statement or opinion about people or life that story illustrates. I may write the message at the end of the story. I may say the moral of this story is so and so, or I may make or give my readers the opportunity to or the chance to guess or infer what is the moral of this story. Not always stated or expressed directly. It may be indirect or unclear, but not always. One of the most important ideas in the story is the moral or the theme of the story. And not every story has a theme. Sometimes a story may be written just for fun without no theme or moral. Now let's revise or let's practice. It's time for practicing. Can you tell me the title of a short story and its author that you have read, my boy? Of course you will. What about the setting? Who is the protagonist or who is the antagonist? What is the point of view? What is the conflict? And what is the motive? What is the mood? What is the tone? What is the theme? When you read a short story, next time we will be able to determine or say what are these elements. Now it's your turn to write. Right? I will ask you to write a short story. Okay. Now, my boys, we will write a short story from your own mind or from your own imagination, and let's complete next time. This is the end of our session now, and we will complete next time. Goodbye, my students.